पीछे कुछ डालना है.
Audio is fine, no? 1 second.
Before hello, you can say whatever.
No, but
Your
audio
audio
is
is
okay,
fine.
right?
I think everyone's is fine.
Like the
No, no.
levels
I
are
could
okay, right?
hear my voice in someone else's thing.
कुछ ज्यादा ही अच्छा है.
नहीं, it's a problem. फिर editing में problem होएगा. That's why I'm asking.
किसी के में echo है वैसे.
किसी का echo, किसी का sound. Yeah.
God,
Oh
my
And now
God.
it's
Anyways,
ठीक है? I'm
yes.
starting now.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello. Welcome to Queen is Dead. I'm Sanjeet. I have Dhruv, Amartya, and Hendrila with me. And today we discuss the new Amazon Prime prestige show directed by Vikramaditya Motwani and created by him as well as Soumik Sen. I'm sorry for pronouncing the name incorrectly. The show being Jubilee, which basically follows like early independence Bombay fable of like Indian cinema growing in a way.
Yeah.
But a little bit of context which Dhruv will bring into the conversation.
Yeah,
So that
I mean, I'm not
it
bringing
sets
into
the tone.
essentially. I'm in.
I
I
mean,
asked
but you're
someone.
speaking about it.
I asked someone, one of our guests, who will probably be part of another episode later in
Mhm.
this year. This is Sohani, and her handle is at Cinema and Beyond. If anyone's interested in following her, but she was very generous in telling us about the sort of what forms the integral base of the sort of story of Jubilee, like the real life counterpart of it. And it's so the central sort of this is kind of what forms the first episode in many ways, and how the sort of story flows from there. So it's about sort of 30s 40s mein there was this producer Himanshu Roy, who was educated in Germany and set up a studio in India, basically Hollywood style, named Bombay Talkies. And he brought in all sort of modern technology and all that, which the show kind of references. And he was married to Devika Rani, who was a very successful actress in Bollywood, if you can call it even that at that time. And her relationship with this person was very well publicized. And she was acting at that moment in time in a movie called Jawani Ki Hawa with Nazam Al Hussain, who
Okay.
is who I think people who know about the show sort of get an idea of where this idea of Jamshed Khan emerges from. I think the Nazam ul Hussain character is very much that. And so the simple thing was that Himanshu Roy was very much jealous of this guy's mystique and beauty and whatever he sort of had with his wife, the kind of affair that was publicized also. And so he wanted to create a movie in which his wife starred against the most ordinary looking guy, almost like that. And this most ordinary looking guy was introduced by Shashadhar Mukherjee, who I think is from the Mukherjee family, whoever knows Rani Mukherjee, and sort of, it related to that. And then he introduced his brother-in-law, Ashok Kumar, whose real name was Kumarlal Ganguly, who's a very sort of, who's Apar Shakti Khurana in the show, and who basically kind of is the centerpiece, I would assume, along with Jay Khanna, who sort of
Parallel.
He starts out as the centerpiece. He gets
Yes.
overshadowed very quickly. Anyway,
I would disagree, but okay. Anyway, Jay Khanna at that time is very much an amalgamation of Raj Kapoor and Dev Anand. And
yes.
how they sort of, created a sort of alternate, almost template to what cinema was, that was being made by sort of the Himanshu Roy company, which is Bombay Talkies, and sort of, you get two different forms of cinemas almost existing at the same time. So all this kind of is a basis, I think, of a lot of the story of Jubilee, and how that is then in the show connected. I think it's shifted a couple of years ahead as a means to connect it also to Partition.
I think
and
the Ashok Kumar film, which is mentioned, I guess, came out in 1941.
Yes. So I think a lot of it
correct?
sort of is shifted about 5-6 years to the right, just to have it like overlap or sort of, have this
with
contradictory or
partition.
contrast almost with how
Mhm.
the
I mean,
partition was happening at
I
that
mean, you
moment in
can
time.
say, that it shifted, but it's also pretty a general perspective as well, right? Because all these types of issues would have happened anyway,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 So all I'm saying is that shifting it actually helps in a narrative sense. It didn't
Yeah.
hinder them in any way.
Yeah,
That's the whole
absolutely.
thing.
I mean, yeah, and this is basically context for whoever's kind of aware of this film story and is sort of wanting to know more about the sort of backdrop or like, the blueprint of this and where it comes from. So now I
Mhm.
guess we can go into how all of us thought about the show itself.
What about it? Yeah.
And we'll go non-spoilers first and then delve into spoilers. So this is sort of
Mhm.
general impressions we can go by. Should we go alphabetical, I suppose? Which means we first
Yeah,
go
yeah.
to Ahindrila.
Definitely alphabetical. Yes.
Why? Sometimes it's ladies first, sometimes it's alphabetical.
We can go
Okay then.
descend. We can go
We need
like
reasons.
ulta also. So like
But
Sanjeet can
no, but I
start
do
and
have a couple of things to add to Dhruv, which is I was researching about the show.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is why I said
And
alphabetical. This is why.
and so and I have figured that the names of the episodes turns out are
yes,
also
Yeah.
names of popular movies.
Titles.
yes,
Mhm.
Aag,
Correct.
which is the first
Yes.
episode, I think, was
yes,
Raj Kapoor's first film,
Raj Kapoor's.
and
Yeah.
then
T1.
yeah, and then which is I think 1941-ish, and then this Kismat, which is the eighth episode, if I'm not very
yes,
wrong. That is the
Mm-hmm.
one
Yeah.
which was technically the first Bollywood blockbuster film
Correct.
Yes.
back in
Correct.
the
Yes.
day.
Made like 1
Yes.
crore at
So
that
1 crore
time.
or something. Yeah.
hmm
yes, so
Mhm.
it was also the first film to apparently have introduced an anti-hero
hmm
to Indian
Mhm.
cinema in itself. And
Mm.
Yeah.
it was Ashok Kumar's film, so it
Ashok
was
Kumar.
like a
Yeah.
big thing. So
yeah,
all the
Double role, right? I
the
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Double
had a
yeah,
role.
yeah.
double role.
Mm.
Yeah. So all the like the show like the episode names also have subtle references to Indian cinema from back in the
yes,
day
yeah,
is what I meant.
yeah.
Mm.
And I think
Mhm.
even I so
I guess only Raj Mahal wasn't like a film.
Raj
Mahal
Mahal
was
is
the
Mahal, yeah,
It's
Mahal,
Mahal,
basically
right? Yeah.
Mahal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mahal. Mm.
yeah. Which but it's interesting how we'll get to what Hendra, you can go ahead with your initial impressions also. But I
What do
was
you
about to
think?
say that about to say one of the things that Hendra was mentioning about titles and how the Easter eggness, if that's a word, of the whole show is never overwhelming to me, at least, or maybe because I
Isn't a
don't
No, no,
have
hindrance.
a sort of
it isn't
uh
overwhelming.
yeah, and it might also be because I'm not as aware of the era, but I didn't feel that I was watching someone reference through their movie love, which often happens when
Mhm.
you're making films about an older age
Cinema
where
or whatever. Yeah.
cinema where you're a fan of, right? So I didn't feel so, but yes, go ahead, Ahindra. What did you
Mhm.
think of
No, so this Easter eggs thing throughout the show is something that I personally liked because again, the
Mhm.
same thing I am not
Yeah.
so aware of the history of cinema back in the day. I
Mhm.
have read
Mhm.
Manto's book, which is like highly recommended.
Mhm.
Everybody should read it because it's fascinating. It's called
Mhm.
Stars from Another Sky, and it is basically
Mhm.
portraits that are written by Manto before he moved away to Lahore. So he wrote these only after he moved away to Lahore. But the whole
Mhm.
idea is that because he was involved in the film industry in the 1930s and he was writing scripts and everything, so he goes on to
Mhm.
detail the lives of all these people that he came across, and every chapter is dedicated to one particular personality as he sees them. And these are
Right.
very
Mhm.
raw and like they are written like Manto writes, which are absolute like factually on point things like that. That's
Mhm.
the only book that I've ever read about cinema back in the day, which
Yeah.
is why I,
Mhm.
of course, could not connect with people and Easter eggs initially, but it was
Mhm.
very fun going like going to the web and then actually figuring out what these Easter eggs may have been, and then actually learning about the Easter eggs in the show, which gives you so much context now, and like it just in general intrigues you
Mhm.
about watching the show more in a way, or just like makes you wonder that oh, there are actually so many little
Yeah.
details in the show. I also read Motwane's like interviews where he was like, oh, we have specifically tried to not refer to people, but the
Yeah.
blueprint may just like feel very similar,
Yes.
but they were actually trying to create like timeless characters in a way so that
Correct.
they can be stretched onto further seasons, is what I read
Oh,
from one of his
no.
interviews.
Why?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did
sad.
read that. I was like, oh, it's if it's like to shape a character so that it can go from like we can carry it forward across
Oh
seasons. So I was
God,
like, okay.
I thought it had such a great full stop to it that I was like, okay,
Yeah,
never
even
mind.
I agree.
I'm
Same,
doubting.
I sincerely hope they do not make this again. Like they do not go for the second season
Amartya's
of this.
expression
But
right now very much seems like he's almost done with the
he
whole.
initially went from, oh my God, this girl is talking about books again, to now the show is going to have another season.
Yes.
Sorry?
Yeah.
इतना
Anyways, so should we,
हाँ,
Amartya, since you are the one who's
Amartya, what do you
holding
think?
your head, what do you think?
Don't recap, huh? Just tell what you think.
Yeah, I don't want to recap. I'm tired of writing recaps. I'm tired of talking about recaps. That shit is tiring. I'm seriously telling you.
We are planning to keep this a
हाँ.
non-beeped episode or non-explicit one, just
You
to.
have me in the episode. At this point, you should just,
Yes.
Forgive it.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, no, I'm going to compare this to a movie I can't believe I'm comparing because I don't like this movie, but that's exactly what this felt to me.
Hmm.
This felt like Motwane's version of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a
Hollywood
Time
or
in Hollywood.
like
Oh,
both
wow.
of them?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, yeah. This felt
Really?
like
Okay.
more,
Interesting.
yeah, because in a way he's also hanging out with these characters. In a way,
Okay. Yeah. I mean, 10 hours is enough, like a lot of time.
10
So
hours
yes.
is quite a long time to hang out with
Yeah.
your characters.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, Motwane's attempt at kind of, correcting the mistakes which Anurag Kashyap made in Bombay Velvet.
Hmm.
Mhm.
That's what it feels like. It feels like Motwane basically taking the Anurag Kashyap template and telling and showing Anurag, listen, this is how you should have done it.
Ouch.
You know,
I mean, but come on, like
I'm not insulting. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
telling you.
Mhm.
It's like that's what it feels like. That
Hmm.
this is how you should have done it.
Mhm.
You should have focused on this. You should have focused on this. You should have focused on this. That's what it
Mhm.
feels like. It also feels like a very knowledgeable nerd of
Hmm.
movies who loves movies so much that he
Hmm.
thought that I will make a world of its own and I will
Yeah.
create characters of its own with amalgamations of different actors that I love, with different
Yeah.
movies that I think about, and I'm going to create a universe within myself. I'll put in Easter eggs, I'll put in all of it, so much details, all these details. Look at me, how clever I am.
Yeah,
Of this is there.
Okay, fine.
All
I
of
have
this
so
is
much to
there.
say. Yeah.
Yes, but and the one of the core facts which made me like this show so much is that love is palpable. The fact
Hmm.
that he loves this so much, that love is palpable, and when that love is palpable across the screen, you are unable to not get it.
Hmm.
You also want to share it. You also want to understand that love. You also
Mhm.
want to experience that love. You also want to see why a Raj Kapoor film makes them so happy.
Hmm.
Why a Mughal Azam or something like that makes them so happy. You want to
Hmm.
feel that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The fact that he managed to evoke that across the screen to millions of people, especially
Hmm.
people below the age of 20, who haven't seen these movies at all, who don't know what these movies are.
Hmm.
Mhm.
If you can manage to evoke that, I will say that's a huge plus in your book.
Yeah.
And from that regard alone, and you can only evoke that if you have researched that to an agonizingly painful degree. You have
Yeah.
researched that.
Mhm.
Your production design is on point.
Yeah.
All of that works. But here also the problem, because this is a love letter,
Hmm.
it feels like you're homaging yourself to such an extent that you're already making your tone exactly like that. And that is sometimes jarring for
Okay.
me.
Tone
Because
exactly like that, as in?
as in the melodrama and all of it, okay.
Hmm.
Like, there wasn't something called an art house movies in the 40s. Okay. It's
Mhm.
always entertainment. Movies were entertainment. Movies were pastimes.
Yeah.
So everything was heightened. Everything
Mhm.
was theatrical. if you're homaging something of that era,
Hmm.
what I feel is the love letter became so much that even the homage became more and more theatrical.
Okay.
And that felt
Okay.
jarring to me.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Understood. So you think that it sort of became
That it was,
subservient to the
yeah,
very
yeah,
thing
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah.
was understood.
It is an intentional choice. I'm extremely sure it was an
Yeah.
intentional choice.
Hmm.
I'm
Mhm.
just
That
saying
is
it did.
precisely the thing that I loved about the show. Of
Yes.
course,
Hmm.
I'm interjecting, but that
Of
is
course you are
precisely the thing
interjecting
that
because
I.
you can't shut the F up. Of course you are
No, I
interjecting.
can't.
Yes.
It is you talking. No, but
Yes.
also the point is that that is precisely the part of the show that I loved so much that it
Yeah.
gently, slowly rolls into that melodrama itself, where it's very difficult to differentiate
It is
life
sure of
from
what
the
it is.
cinema itself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which
It is
didn't
very
work
sure of
for
what it is.
which didn't work for me, I understand, but I appreciate the fact that it stuck to it.
Hmm.
That I will
Mhm.
tell you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. At the
Yeah.
very
Mhm.
least, it is confident. Unlike a lot of other TV shows which wobbles, which doesn't know what tone it should, hold on.
To
Mhm.
Again,
emphasize the wobbliness of this, Amartya has in fact wobbled like he was channeling that visually also
yes,
here,
yes,
just
yes.
to emphasize it. Yes.
Just to emphasize that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
it's like I said, it's like an extremely well-made school project which a student has made to impress the
Array.
teachers. To
No,
impress the
it's not.
teachers. And all the other students are looking at it like, bhai, itna mehnat kaun karta hai?
This
That
is such a PhD level joke that
thank you.
most of the listeners will not even be able to connect with it. Calm
Most
down.
of the listeners
Okay.
connected with it. You connected with it. That's fine. Chalega. You got irritated by it. That's fine. Matlab you connected with it.
That's such an RGB philosophy, huh? You got
Oh
irritated.
God.
Yes.
RGV
Yes.
here also. We are on
Yes.
good
Are
terms.
you?
We were.
RGB
Don't worry.
सच RGB को सब में घुसाएगा क्या है?
Anyways, I think I
Huh.
agree more with Ahindra here. And
Of course you do.
I mean,
Of
I
course you
like
do.
the show. I've so one of the few things, one of my first
Amartya is gonna
notes.
just hate on anyone who agrees with me here. That is his motive for the rest of the episode. I figured it out.
Took
Okay.
your while.
So I think one of the first notes I made while watching this show was that it's exquisite, which I don't like. It's just exquisite classicism. I know that's a more of an academic term, but classicism is sort of related to a style of filmmaking in which narrative and form both have a beautiful marriage. Like they are both complementing each other in ways which feel very satisfying.
It
And
looks
then
freaking gorgeous. It
but
looks freaking
I
gorgeous.
think the look
Sounds
is
also.
I think the look is married to what he's doing in terms of narrative also. I know the screenplay is not everyone's favorite element of the show, and there are certain elements I still am
we are
unsure
getting
about.
into those.
We'll get
We
into
are
it.
getting
We'll get into it. But I was surprised. The
Mhm.
first thing, I messaged Sanjeet saying that if we were judging the show on the first episode alone, I would be over the moon with the whole thing. And I'm surprised some people
Yeah.
really didn't connect with the first episode, because I thought the way it sets up everything in the first episode is beautiful. Like, I think one of the few things, so there's uses of like simple elements of blocking, to suggest character relationships, and how that keeps on getting replicated within that episode itself, getting characters and all that to sort of talk about their relationships in a way which keeps on echoing back to. And I guess for me to sort of encapsulate my thoughts on the whole thing, I'm surprised how whatever little I've read about the show doesn't talk about how much, or at least I felt it was so much about partition. Like, it continuously, to me, the drama of the film
Yeah.
reinforces that element, like the idea of two people who are kind of copies of that one personality, bifurcated into two different stories, each of which is sort
Mhm.
of same one person of the same so what's it, the two one, what's the coin thing, two
Two sides
faces
of the
Two
of the
same
sides
coin.
of the
two
same coin.
two sides of the same yes. Two sides of the same coin. Like, that element of it always stuck through the whole show for me. And I found,
Mhm.
as I think a lot of people think that it's Jay Khanna shows, which I can understand why they think so, because maybe on a performance level, that story works much more
More. Yeah,
for
yeah.
them. I was pretty invested in the Binod Roy story also, and I thought the paralleling of those stories sort of, was very involving to me throughout the show, even though some of the side bits kept on sort of, butting their heads in ways which I thought were unconvincing. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was, so to kind of put another sort of encapsulation, it is the first Sanjay Leela Bhansali style show that felt like it went above the production values and had a beating heart to it. Is the other way I sort of
Makes
put it
sense.
also.
Makes
Because
sense. He was the
I
assistant.
struggle
He
with
was the
his,
assistant of Bansali, right?
exactly, yeah.
Bhansali's assistant. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's referenced how that helped him sort of, stage a lot of the sequences, and how, allowed him to give that that sweeping sort of feeling to some of the shots he's accomplished here. But I genuinely found it emotionally involving, which is a big thing for me, I guess. And yeah, I didn't find it like alienating ever, I feel. So I guess that's my biggest thing about it. Sanjeet, you can gush, because I know you love it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm just controlling myself. But the whole point is I really, really, really loved it.
Yeah.
Because I really enjoyed like a lot of like parallelism, like seesaw of power
Yeah.
and like emotions going one place to another. I guess when I'm watching something and if I like it, I'm usually more so thinking about how they would have come up with a certain idea or a certain scene or whatever, like in the larger picture or whatever. Like when I used to watch like Breaking Bad, I used to think like how would they have come up with a scene like the head on a tortoise in a in a desert or someplace like that. To me, all those things are very fascinating. Like how you would sit and what conscious decisions you would make uh, for making something.
Yeah.
And like what Amartya was telling, right? Like the theatricality and a little bit of indulgence and everything. For me, it felt like a conscious choice of how they wanted to tell that kind of story.
Yeah.
And tell the story from that particular world in a way.
Yeah.
And again, like few things which I guess we'll talk about later also, like how like there were elements which were kind of little fickle, which came and went by, like as they felt. But to me, it felt more on the lines like how you can make it engaging. Like everything is like working in a rhythm. Like you snap your fingers in a way, and it has that kind of when that camera goes from one point to another point, a certain
Yeah.
something. There is a certain rhythm to everything, and it more like also emotionally involving because like it's like seesaw of powers, and you want to probably root for a certain character, and then you also want to root for a certain character because you see what the motivations for those characters could be, even for like a lesser character like Valia, and how I mean that he sort of became also my favorite character in the show, and
Valia,
like
this is
other
played by
characters like
Ram Kapoor, right?
Ram Kapoor, yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And that also kept me like and more than that, I felt it was like very immersive because like the sound and the camera work was seamless.
Yeah.
I know like we've spoken about this before also, like how like sometimes if we our takeaway from a film is how a camera looked movement looked like or how gorgeous it looked, I guess then it kind of defeats the purpose because you were maybe looking at those elements more than being involved in it in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, in many cases it's a different case also, but
Mhm.
I'm just saying it in a very general macro sense that this is what happens, and I felt it was very immersive because I was always in the story with the characters all the time. So I mean, more than like the hanging out bit, and like how you said, like it felt like a Bombay Velvetish take of Vikram Advani. I felt it was like the whole double thing, like like there was that whole Russian communist and the American supporter
Yeah.
in Karan Johar and I forgot the other actor's name in Bombay Velvet. It's pretty similar here as well, but I guess Bombay Velvet was very sure of it being like a noir, like a futile ending noir type,
Yeah.
But this is not noir. This is more drama, more melodrama.
It has
If
elements
Bombay
of
Velvet,
noir dropped in here and there.
If Bombay Velvet was white heat, this is Sunset Boulevard. There you
This
go.
is for Hollywood
Right.
noir
This is
fans.
Sunset.
Nerds.
Whoever
Yeah, this is
whoever
Yeah.
has listened to the
Early
previous
Hollywood.
and the episode we had recorded with Amartya and Varun. This
yeah.
is your
This,
tidbit about
Mhm.
that. Yes.
this is Sunset Boulevard. Yeah,
Yeah.
more or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least that's what it feels like.
So we should go into
But
spoilers now, I feel, right? Like whatever discussion.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
guess all of us recommend it on some level, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
Please,
so
yeah,
even
sure.
of
yeah.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
Please do
Absolutely.
watch it. I mean, I was talking to someone who's like, who's going to watch a show about 30s and 40s cinema, and I was
And
like,
I guess it's not gotten as much viewership
but it
as
won't,
much
I feel,
everyone would
no?
expect, honestly. Yeah.
I don't think it
It
would.
So this is
hasn't.
like the tentpole production for Prime.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah,
checking on some website. I guess it was Film Companion only. Like you get like the viewership numbers
It was
over
2.2
Wikipedia.
million
Are
or
they using?
something,
Are
right?
they using the Ormax? Are they using the Ormax ka
I
viewership
guess,
numbers?
but it
Nice.
still feels to me like an Ormax is still like a very. I don't know
Ormax is
why
shady.
would I trust it?
Ormax is shady.
Because whole point of Netflix and Prime shows us they don't release their
They don't release
viewership,
their numbers. Yeah, that's
I
the
mean,
officially
I'm.
at least. So
It's always hard. Like, of course, it would be heartening to know that this is going to be Vikramaditya Motwani's big break. I always feel like I'm
I
like he
mean,
always.
he
How
has
how many big
एक-
breaks does he need? He has. He
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 has.
got
doesn't.
that big break with
What
Sacred
was
Games,
the?
I feel.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Sacred Games was that big break.
I always forget that show when we are mentioning him for some reason. I don't know. It
That
feels more.
show.
Yeah.
That show
Yeah,
was
The best
basically
Indian show.
showdone by him.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I do. I was thinking more of him as the filmmaker, Vikramaditya Motwani, and how that's not never gotten a big break except for AK versus
The
AK. I suppose.
filmmaker Vikramaditya Motwane is the biggest hero of Jubilee itself. The filmmaker Vikramaditya Motwane, because the filmmaking in this entire show is jaw dropping.
Hmm.
There are some sequences, there are some shots in this show where I had to pause for a second and just soak in.
Hmm.
It's like
Which one?
Barsat Ki Raat, because Sokin.
yes.
Arey.
Exactly. See?
क्या हो रहा है
Metaphor
हम लोगों को?
नहीं,
1930s
Go ahead,
की
you
movie
were
के
telling
sound
Go
about-
में
ahead.
जा रहे
I had to make some bad joke. No, so yeah.
हैं. You're making better jokes than some other people in this panel. Anyway.
Oh, Jesus. Gosh. Anyways, go ahead, Amartya. You were being nice to the show.
No,
First
I am
fact.
being nice to the.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on, why do people think that I'm hating on the show? It's not that I'm hating on the show. The show
That is the
itself,
general vibe you give out. It's okay.
says the person who is interjecting every goddamn second. But the thing about it is that
Yeah.
the big thing with the show is the beginning itself, the entire bracketing story element.
Mhm.
That's what boggles my mind.
Mhm.
Because I like the concept that you are we are getting the spoilers, right?
Spoilers, yes.
I like the concept that Madan Kumar is basically like Madan Kumar is like the Phantom, the ghost who walks. He's a character. He's a
Madan
character.
Kumar, yes.
People will take over that character more. or less.
Yes.
Yeah. And so Shrikant Roy is searching for probable candidates for Madan Kumar.
Mhm.
And and the character he finds is Jamshed Khan. Now,
Hmm.
I wouldn't have a problem with Jamshed Khan. I wouldn't have a problem with the show making me believe that Jamshed Khan is this wunderkind who is such a fantastic actor and everything. My problem is I don't believe that.
Well,
Why?
yeah, I mean, I know what
because-
Amartya is getting because I have the
Yes,
similar problem.
because that guy isn't good enough.
Nandish Sandhu, I think, is the actor.
Nandish Sandhu. That guy is not good enough. And my bigger problem is, even after he is unceremoniously booted off the main narrative, his presence always comes back, like some
Hmm.
Lurking, yeah.
like
Yeah.
specter of the gun or some shit like that. His vision always comes back and everything. And my point is, I don't need this bracketing story, man. I don't need people's guilt about not being able to save him. I can understand that that's a story thread you are trying to pull.
But doesn't it become like a moral dilemma for the character then?
But
Like
it
Vinod
but
Das
it isn't
becomes like a moral dilemma, like
Yeah,
he
but
killed
it isn't
someone who was like a
yeah, but
nobody.
it isn't explode in the middle, right? It's explode only in the first 2 or 3 episodes and then explode in the last episode.
I
Middle
think
mein to
it's
nahi hai.
okay. I think
I
it's
think it is
carried
pretty
throughout.
consistently done.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
consistently done. No, you're not getting me. It's consistently done in the bracketing segments, but in the middle, when the narrative is going on, it isn't exactly touched, except in the Aditi Rao Hayadrika subplot. That is the
No, but
only time that is being
I guess
touched.
that's what I was telling before also. Like the stuff that I like, the conscious choice of what makes it more engaging. I feel that kind of an element when like the characters, when like the show becomes engaging for us as viewers, the show, like the narrative for the characters was also engaging for them because they were mostly preoccupied by 10 other things that were happening. Yeah. So to me, it didn't feel like, to me, it felt organic that those apparition kind of narrative or like that lurking around of ghost didn't happen really because he was more preoccupied with saving his marriage, having an affair, making films with
nahi, but
Asghar, cheating with Roy.
see. I
Preoccupied with another affair, saving
no
his
no no no
marriage,
no no.
having an affair.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the list.
He was doing all of that, right?
I don't think this is anything. I think the film has or the show, sorry, has taken that idea of the ghost and applied it in a way to the other stories. I think, like, at least to me, it
No,
feels like
so my
go ahead. Yeah.
my point is, why do we keep talking about Madan Kumar as a ghost?
Mhm.
Madan Kumar can also just be perceived as an ideal concept of an
It's a
actor.
concept, yeah.
So a concept can be introduced in any number of ways in
Mhm.
the plot because it is intangible,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I am
so
waiting to see where you're going with this.
no, my only going with this is that I perceive Madan Kumar as a concept throughout
Yeah.
the show that they have explored in various forms.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is a ghost, sometimes it is a, and it makes so much sense when you think of Madan Kumar as a ghost of the partition itself, which many people from the 1930s and the 40s were themselves.
Yes.
I'm gonna say Madan Kumar becomes like the India
Amartya has bulged
analogy.
his eyes, but I'm spot on about what
I
Hendrila is
kind of
saying.
agree. Yeah, I mean that's what just occurred to me also. Like he becomes like the analogy for India,
He is.
which
It's
is a concept
Jamshed. So
also,
he goes
ideal
from
concept.
Jamshed Khan as Madan Kumar is a concept that gets bifurcated into Jai Khanna from Lahore and what's the
Yeah,
guy? Binod
Madan
Roy
Kumar,
from Bombay
Vinod
slash
Roy
Bengal.
from
Binod
Yes.
Das, Binod
Vinod
And
Das.
that Bombay
Vinod Das.
Lahore thing is made explicit in one of the episodes also when they're rehearsing a script and they're consistently struggling to
When
identify
they're rehearsing
who's
the script of Taxi Driver and he's
yes,
constantly
Taxi
going
driver.
Karachi and then he's like, no,
yes,
Bombay.
Yeah.
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 So to me,
Mhm.
I mean, I know about you're thinking. I don't think this is reaching. I honestly thought this
It
was done.
isn't. It isn't. It isn't reaching. It isn't reaching. That's why my eyes just bulge the F out.
No,
It isn't reaching.
but I do think it's there throughout the show. I mean, that element of his guilt, I think, powers through and the most powers through all the stuff he does. I mean, I almost think there are times, at least, in which he tries to help Jay just because he wants to sort of get rid of that and sort of where he comes into the position of helping someone also from that area, from where Jamshed Khan was, and he sort of committed a crime in that area. And by helping him, he seeks to sort of, bypass his guilt.
Atone himself.
Yeah,
Atone
to
for
atone
his
himself.
sins.
Yeah,
In a
but
way.
it doesn't work, of course. So,
But
yeah.
something that I don't get personally is the entire Nilofer and Jamshed Khan relationship. Like,
Okay.
I think there may have been some possibility of exploration of that relationship, like the fact that she comes to, apart from the fact that she's somebody who knew Jamshed
Yep.
Khan so intimately and now she's in Bombay and she's in the film industry.
Mhm.
Apart from that, maybe some connection, because I realize suddenly in the, like, as the show progresses, there's she just starts name dropping Jamshed Khan, and that's it. People around her are neither astonished nor taken aback by it. It's just something that they gel well with. And I was for a moment like, oh, but why? There's nothing stated. Nobody is being bothered by the fact that this person knows Jamshed Khan.
The Nilofer and the Jamshed Khan relationship, I think, is basically there for that scene where
In the beginning.
Madan
It's a
Kumar
prologue scene,
aka
right? I
Binod
think.
Madan Kumar aka Binod Roy, after breaking up with Nilofer, asks her whether Jamshed Khan was better than him. I think it's that payoff.
for the
That's it.
Jamshed Khan relationship. I mean, again,
Yeah.
Insecurity.
just
I
to
think that's the
generate.
only payoff. I think that
just
is
to
literally the only payoff.
so, okay, so just to extend the thing that Ahindra has introduced about the whole partition thing, I feel I
Okay, now
feel
you're
But
reaching.
I feel the
Okay,
Nilofer
now you're
relationship.
reaching.
I feel the Nilofer relationship for both of them is a bit like that only. Something that they
So
consistently try
Nilofer is
to.
Kashmir.
You can think of it like that if you want.
Nilofer
Uh,
is Kashmir.
you can think of it like that.
Vikramaditya Motwane will be impressed if he ends up listening to this show, guys.
No,
We
it's
are
Atul
drawing
Sabrawal
we are
actually
drawing
who's
geographical
written it.
places into characters.
I can
Nee,
guarantee
but
you this
see,
much Atul Saprawal did not think this much.
but see, but it makes total sense though, no? Like both of them are trying to
Mhm.
get into that relationship. Think about when Binod is the most expressive or most open and sort of the most, and I think the criticism to Apar Shakti's Khurana's performance has been that it's stiff, right? I think you share that
Oh yeah.
criticism.
Yeah.
So I think the part where he sort of becomes most expressive in a sense, I feel, I guess to me at least, it sense is when he falls in love with Nilofer,
He's with
relationship
Nilofer.
that can't be consummated either because it's bad for his image. Shrikant says no, and he actually loves her, cares for her, but he can't sort of consummate that relationship. Jay Khanna's eventual sort of reconciliation, his promise that he will be with Nilofer, never comes to fruition because
Oh wow. Oh wow, she is Kashmir.
or she
She
is
is Kashmir.
or she
Random
is
realization.
no, or she is what was associated with
She is
Jamshed Khan.
ultimately left alone by the country which was what the country which promised to
No,
take
but
her.
you can see, but even you can see the whole thing about her and Jamshed Khan as Madan Kumar being the ideal of what it was before partition. Like I think that works, right? Like the idea that she was isn't that the ideal relationship? That's what is said in one of the episodes I remember where they are like, or Jay says that the only person she ever got in bed with because he's angry is because she was Jamshed Khan, not so Binod Roy is not something which is like to be aspired to almost to demean Apar Shakti's
Makes sense.
Khurana's character. And I guess to me it's basically her being a remnant of that almost, that past which was sort of taken away or whatever. But
ऐसे लिख ले ऐसे लिख ले
but वो तो है हाँ
ऐसे लिख ले
लिखूंगा but I'm
इसका
sure
ऐसे लिख
but
ले
I don't think I think this is very much running throughout the film. I don't think it's a series what film I'm saying.
True.
I don't think it's like a
No, it's
drop.
film only. It's film only, and believe me, calling it a film is a compliment. It's film only.
I mean
It's
film
okay.
hasn't
No, but
because it's
honestly, I didn't feel like binging the first 5 episodes.
huh.
But the last 5 I binged on it because I
The
felt like
second
there
half
was
is
like a
much
whole
better.
story.
The second half is actually much better. It flows
I
much
mean,
better.
not better or worse concept, but the whole idea is that I
I'm
didn't
just-
binge on the first two.
It flows
Anyways,
much better.
my point is that what Ahindrala said in the beginning, I think is applied to a lot of the show. Like I don't think it's something that's patchy.
You took that strand of idea and just ran with it.
But I think the show runs with it. Like I don't think it ditches that idea.
But also, I really like the fact that so something that I was personally on the lookout for is because we are talking about a show, and I was initially very intrigued because when that entire first scene happens of the first episode, where this guy is riding the bicycle and going, and you get a view of the entire the talkies area, and then you first see the production house and like the sets and everything, and then you see the cinema hall. That
Yeah.
entire stretch, and later also when things like when this person is getting off the bike and stuff, you actually hear that constant radio commentary. So the whole socio-political issue is introduced right at the start.
Yeah.
And I am somehow very, very glad that this socio-political narrative is not abandoned in the course of the show.
Correct.
I think so. Yeah.
It comes through via characters who have been, which is why then partition and the partition riots play such a huge role in the premise of the whole show.
That's the
and then
catalyst,
characters
right?
affected by the partition.
Instigating. Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole this All India Radio banning the songs also. This is a part of history that I had no idea about. So I was so curious about it. I actually went online and read, and I was like, oh yes, I mean this was this is something that actually really happened, and I had like
Mm.
no idea, because it's such a like a small tiny detail, but it
Yeah.
affected the industry in such a massive way, and it's just an
especially for an
effect of
industry,
the
especially for an industry which is still which is dependent on songs for their
Mm.
marketing. Their primary
which
marketing
is
is
why
songs.
it's such a fun, nice detail that when I think Jay Khanna's first movie is about to release, and they're just putting up posters and they see someone
Yes.
Yeah,
who's actually
Yeah.
playing the
listening to the
radio,
Yeah,
song.
one
yeah,
of
yeah.
their
That's a
songs from
lovely
the
scene.
film
Yeah.
when they pass
That's a lovely
Yeah.
scene.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just makes you gleam also, because you've seen
Yeah.
Jay Khanna go through so much to arrive at that place.
Yeah.
So there's also that, which is
Yeah.
why I just personally feel that at least they did not do much discredit, or they did not do like if we actually look into it, maybe there'll be some anomalies here and there. But apart from that, they did not really
Mhm.
do much like what is it called? Dash to
Dash.
I've lost my word.
Harm.
So it's dash. They
Disregard,
did not do much disservice.
disservice,
Disservice is the word.
disregard. Okay.
Yes. So they haven't really done much disservice to the socio-political commentary. Yes.
Yes. No, I agree. I totally agree about this. But no, other stuff that appealed. I mean, I was mentioning the first episode and how much that sort of appealed to me, at least. I mean, again, I think the
Mhm.
Nandish Sandhu performance is a big problem. I think
It's a huge
that
problem.
I
But
think
It's a
why?
red flag.
That just cannot be the bar for a Jamshed Khan.
That's my whole
Unfortunately.
point. That's my whole point. Shrikant
that
Roy
is
has
kind of
Acting
bad.
true.
out that scene is so much better than
Shrikant Roy
Jamshed
has
Khan.
Shrikant Roy has extremely bad taste in his Madan Kumar. That's all I can say, man. Apar
Ouch.
Shakti Khurana,
I
you
think
are
Apar Shakti is better than
Apar
what you
Shakti
guys
Khurana,
think.
you are a better Madan Kumar any day, man. You did not need to suffer through
So
Yeah,
any
yeah.
no, but
insecurity.
Sanjeev, this is exactly the problem, I think, with the Nandish Sandhu performance. It is supposed to be exemplary to the point of, you have to remember it in a
Yes.
way which I think
Mhm.
they remember it. And I think it's such a
I mean,
flat,
I
even
didn't
in the
think of it that
scene
way.
when
Yeah,
he's
sorry.
talking to Arti Rao Hydari, like the way she enunciates her dialogue and the way he enunciates it, I think there's like a gulf. Like I think he
Mhm.
seems out of place, not in a he's
She's
extraordinary way. Like he just feels out of place.
she's enunciating movie regality. He's enunciating soap operatic nonsense. That's the
No,
whole
he's
thing.
not even enunciating soap opera thing. It's just that I'm so sorry, but this goes back to my Uttaran days when I used to watch
It's
that show
Uttaran.
with
It's
my
literally
family.
Uttaran. It's literally
Yeah,
Uttaran. He's the
he
first
had
boyfriend.
no expression on his face, even when his female leads would just be like, something has happened to me. The
Yeah.
problem here is the same. He's half dying, and writers are carrying him away, and he's just
And he
looking
looks
blank. I
dazed.
mean,
And he looks like he just smoked a pot of weed and he's just dazed.
yes, precisely. He looks like he's
I thought I
dazed.
was harsh
And I mean,
on the performance. You guys have taken the cake and ran away with it, I think.
I have major issues with that performance, because I think
Yeah.
it does.
Mhm.
I mean, everybody else does
The
better than him
bracketing,
when it
that's my
comes to the.
whole criticism, right? Considering the limited range this guy has, to choose him as the bracketing story is a huge misstep for me, at
It's a
least.
strange casting decision,
It's a
honestly.
strange casting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
absolutely.
felt maybe it's probably the performance which harms it more than.
Performance only, characters not the
Yeah.
problem.
Performance
Huh.
only.
I
The
mean,
character
not more than the
itself,
actor, I
the
feel. I
character
don't know.
itself is
Acha, okay.
written. The character
What I'm
itself
trying to
is
put
written.
through is, see, I didn't see through this problem as you
Mhm.
guys, all three of you did, because
Mhm.
I thought maybe, it's a hit or a miss, that kind of performance.
Mhm.
Because it's either trying to be a little over the top, or it's trying to be, subtly charming, which is like, if it hits for you, it hits for you. If it doesn't, it's like nothing. For me, it felt
Missed the
like, okay,
bullseye by
it's
a goddamn fucking parsec.
okay. If you feel like that, then what am I supposed to say? I mean, if you guys all agree on it, then it's probably the
Naini,
case.
but
Then I
I'm
didn't
not
see it.
sure.
Maybe I will see it on the
But
second
Naini,
watch.
but
No,
then
no,
it's
but I
different
am also.
for a lot of people on the Apar Shakti performance. I know that me and you are abide
I
much
liked the
more
Shakti for sure.
than
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of a
yeah.
lot of people do,
Because
right? So,
I was the least interested. I had no expectations from Shakti Khurana, because I absolutely didn't like him in anything he's done till now.
I'll
Mm.
tell
Not even
you.
Dangal, which was
Mm.
supposed to be his
Oh
one good
wow.
role.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Apart from that, I've never not liked him in Stree, whatever, like
Mhm.
random comedies that he was part of as like the side friend
Mhm.
or whatever.
I'll tell you
I was
one.
least.
I'll tell you
So
one.
that's why the Nandish Sandhu thing also comes into play for me, because I thought maybe it's like thought through why a certain actor should play a certain role. Yeah, but go ahead, sorry.
No,
Sorry, go ahead.
it's okay.
Yeah.
My fault.
The Apar Shakti Khurana's performance, I think, more or less came off as stiff to me. because maybe as a comparative, we are comparing him by design. We are
Yes.
comparing him with Siddhant Gupta's Jai Khanna.
Yes.
I think that comparison is just striking, and for that reason alone, I think the Binod Das to Madan Kumar transition from a stiffer role to somebody who is more comfortable under his skin.
Hmm.
I think you start noticing it more when you see Jai Khanna's performance, which is just like Siddhant Gupta is so light. He's so effortless.
Yeah.
Every time
Flamboyant.
But
Very.
don't you think, Amartya, just to cut, I think Apar Shakti Khurana's performance to me worked because it was like he has worked as a quote unquote loyal dog of Shrikant Roy for so long that
it
he
came
seems like
it came
he's
together
burdened
for
by
me
that.
in the second. It came
Okay.
together for me in the final stretch. Okay,
Got it.
No,
most of the time it
it's the
didn't
same
come.
thing. Like I
Yeah.
have to agree with Amartya here. It's the same thing for me as well. Like initially, it just felt like I really liked him in the first episode where
Mhm.
he was so meek and he was
Yes.
precisely that quote unquote a loyal dog.
Mhm.
And then it's when he rises to stardom, I fail to see his arrogance when he is taking Nilofer to bed. Is my point
Hmm.
here. I fail to see his arrogance in those scenes. I do not find him as a star there, but I
Mhm.
also feel like it finally comes together, like the melancholy of his
Mhm.
character and his moral dilemma finally sets in only in the second half, in the final episodes, which
Mhm.
is why the last ending of the show, where you see him leaving with the
Mhm.
wife thing, that is something like the blank state of expression is something that then hits me hard, because
Mhm.
it's like a mixture of both at this point. You were a loyal servant and then you were a star, and now you're back to being a no one.
Yeah.
So
But
I
okay,
Also,
guess
Sanjeet, you were saying
it's
something.
mostly to do with the transition probably didn't come through for
Hmm.
like a lot of people, because the Binod Das to
Madan Kumar.
Madan Kumar transition like fully formed.
Hmm.
I think that's probably what maybe didn't affect as performance, but I felt maybe
I'll
the
tell you
gap
why. I'll
in the
tell you why
middle
the problem
kind of.
also. I'll tell you why the problem also became more pronounced, Sanjeet. I think it is because
Mhm.
every episode kind of skipped a couple of years, right?
Hmm.
So if you're skipping a couple of
Compressing a lot, yeah,
yeah, you're
correct,
compressing a lot, but you are not
correct.
showing that the characters are progressing. You're showing some characters progressing. You're showing other characters not exactly progressing that much. So the
Yeah.
difference in time, because
Mm-hmm.
time,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're going to show that time has progress, characters should also progress
Yeah.
incrementally or otherwise. You
Correct.
need to show that. They did not show it that much,
Yeah.
especially in Apashakti Khurana's character's case. Which is why even when
Mm-hmm.
he is a star, he's still like humble, he's still like weak. So when he actually takes Nilofer to bed, my first question is, wait, where the hell did that charm come from?
So
That is
I
my first
okay.
question.
I
So
guess.
go ahead, Sanjeet.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go
No,
ahead.
no,
Go ahead.
you.
No, what I was saying was, let's say when you watch like Kagas Ki Phool,
Mhm.
there is that one shot. I'm just reminded of it right now. Where is that? There's that one shot where he goes to the premiere of his film. I think Devdas or
Mhm.
something like that. And there is though there are those hordes of people just going crazy for him.
Mhm.
I guess if we had those moments
One
with him,
scene like that, yeah.
yeah, probably that aspect would have been more defined, or maybe like
Pronounced. Yeah.
highlighted and pronounced in a way, because I feel so that shot really comes to my mind in Kagas Ki Phool, where it's like people are just falling over each other in Kagas Ki Phool.
Mhm.
So you can see, and you can then it cuts to Guru Dutt's face for his reaction in a way. There is something I
This
don't remember it
happens
so well.
actually. What you're talking about happens much later in the ninth episode. Actually,
Much later when he's like, when he's
when he's on the edge of
talking to
collapsing,
Asghar.
basically. Asghar
Correct.
Ali.
When he's like, you see the people are still
Mhm.
appreciating when he's going and shaking hands. It's like a intercutting between both Jay meeting like the local people and him, becoming the
okay, yes,
people's
another
man.
question. Why is that song important in the show?
Which
It
one?
just is so dramatic. That entire fisherman place that he
The
goes
Acha,
Darya.
to for his.
yeah.
That okay.
Okay. Here's one thing.
Hmm.
A petition to all filmmakers who are making prestige television shows. If you are going to show that your hero is becoming an anti-hero or falling into the dark side or everything else, I would urge you not to show a drunken dance or an Adivasi dance or something like a character going through a fugue state. Any of that bullshit.
Indigenous, Amurto, indigenous. We
Indigenous.
don't
I'm sorry.
we don't club them.
yes, we are not going to club. I'm sorry, but my point still stands. All I'm saying is don't do that. The same thing happened in Tabbar. I don't know if you have seen
Tabbar, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, Pawan Malhotra, right? The actor.
Pawan
Yeah.
Malhotra, yeah.
To show
He
that
does the same thing.
he's on the dark side, he takes a glass of rum and he starts drinking and he starts dancing in the restaurant. And I'm like,
But that comes in at a very good
that
point in
comes
the
in
show
at the
also.
ninth episode. That comes in at the ninth
No,
episode.
Which
I'm
is
talking about like Tabbar
Tabbar.
actually. But
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the
Tabbar
thing.
was 5-6 episodes only. No?
Yeah, so that comes at the 5th episode. It always comes
No,
at the
that comes in way
penultimate
early.
episode.
No. I remember in Tabbar it came off way earlier.
No. It came at the 4th
I'm
or
pretty
5th
sure of
episode.
that.
Okay, one
Okay,
second.
we are not
Yes, I
arguing
was
about
about to
Tabbar.
say we are on
We are
Jubilee.
not arguing about that. My point being, don't do
Yes.
that. That's all I'm saying. Don't do that.
Okay,
Why not?
I have a
Breaking that,
semi-defense
Walter
of
White has to
this.
go to a fugue. Walter White has to go to a fugue state. All I'm
But
saying
he
is,
cooks
that's
meth,
that,
Amartya.
Yeah,
He
that's
cooks
a different
meth.
thing. He's a criminal.
that's
Of
not
like
even that's
different
not even
proportion in contemporary world.
the fugue state did not come because he was making meth. The fugue state came for some other reason.
Yes,
All
but
I'm saying,
yes,
no, listen. All I'm saying is,
I am.
this is
Yes.
like a dramatic, acknowledgement that, oh my God, I am finally accepted who I am.
Hmm.
That's all these are. All I'm saying is,
Yeah.
tone down the drama. That's all.
Well, okay,
But if it's using those elements like music and like alcohol, it kind of becomes like a product of what those elements can do to you as a human being, right?
First of all, you're talking about
So-
music and alcohol to me, of all people.
I mean, I'm not.
just putting it out there.
Like, see, I
No,
think
no, I'm just.
yeah, I understand. I think what I think that scene what Ahindrila is mentioning is actually like you can think of it almost as a flip of the scene where Jay Khanna and Valia
Goes to the theater. Yeah.
the B movie theaters. You could see that as a flip.
Recently.
And I feel I feel both these scenes in many ways are condemning even more of their heroes, if anything else, because I think it's very much that these guys can acknowledge
Jubilation.
their
Jubilation through it's
jubilation,
condemnation
nice.
through jubilation. It's condemnation through jubilation. Yeah.
Complete through what?
No, I was saying that see the
Don't be so irritated. It was a nice line. Don't be so irritated.
Never mind.
No, I think in these scenes what happens is you get these momentary scenes of these characters being embraced in some senses by a particular audience who they actually never really care about. Like even when you see like the Jay Khanna character after this moment goes and sort of entirely becomes almost the Roy industry thing, and his realization, Binod's realization after this drunken state of stupor, what you think, is to go to the Russians and be like, let's mess over the other side, or like so I guess these scenes to me were very much like twins in the sense of showing both of their moral degrade in some senses. What you're saying about should these be the means of should these be the means of showing that is probably you are probably getting at something like the sense that you can find different ways of expressing this downfall, which I guess I get what you mean in terms of the Apar Shakti. I think the other scene is much more powerful, and I actually think the 9th episode is the weakest of the show overall in any case. So I think that episode is the only one that maybe doesn't work for me. I think it focuses on the things which I think the show itself has, and we can get into the whole what sorts of things the show sidelines, and what sorts of things the show kind of brings up and resolves very quickly in a sense. But I think the 9th one is about Shrikant and Shrikant played by Prosenjit Chatterjee, right? And Sumita, what was her name? Sumitra Kumari, yes. It's centered a lot on those two characters. I feel like their resolution, in a sense, of what happens between their relationship, and I think that didn't convince me, at least, or it didn't feel convincing how that is introduced again in a sense and then resolved in a way which didn't feel earned to me, I guess, if that makes sense.
Listen, that entire Sumitra Kumari ka plot thread itself is kind of, I don't know, it's
I think it works
stretched
retrospectively much more for me than while watching it. Like while
while
watching it,
watching.
I was like, she's really sidelined through like a lot of the show, and I was like,
She's sidelined a lot, considering the fact that she's the head,
Biggest loser.
co-head
yeah,
of the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
entire Roy Talkies ka business and all of
Hmm,
it. My point being that if you are going to show me the behind the scenes of the movie industry and everything like that, show me
hmm,
that also, right? Show me
hmm.
what she's doing, because you are showing what Shrikant Roy is doing. So show me what she's doing.
But I
You
guess
know,
this works retrospectively though. I think because in the end you kind of get to know that she has zero power essentially, even though she thinks she
Correct.
Yeah, I
does.
can tell you something.
Yeah,
I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
something, and Amoto is again going to go all, oh my God, you brought up this because this is you, of course,
yeah,
kind
yeah.
look.
Koi baat nahi, you bring it
But
up. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very
of
used
course.
to it. It's fine.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
the thing is, this Sumitra Kumari character,
Mhm.
I mean, I'm extremely sorry that I overread too much here, but
No problem.
follows very much of the second wave feminism idea.
Mm-hmm.
The political is the personal,
Mm-hmm.
and the personal is the political, which
Yeah.
is something that you see very much coming on screen. So I didn't exactly mind it, but of course, according to the timeline of the second wave feminism thing, it definitely doesn't work
Yeah.
because it was only
Yeah, it
introduced
doesn't
in
track,
America.
right? It doesn't track.
Yeah, it doesn't track so much.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, of course. I'm like accepting it. No,
Yeah.
but the thing is that something in which is why, like Dhruv saying ki in retrospect it works, it's something that the same thing for me. It works
Mm-hmm.
for me in retrospect, because in retrospect I was like, oh, so she was a woman of sass in her business,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow her personal motivated all that she wanted to do. So she in equal ways contributed to the downfall of
Yeah.
Roy
Roy
Talkies.
Talkies,
Roy
right?
Talkies. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mm.
Roy Talkies, which is why in retrospect it worked for me also, because I was like, oh, that's a certain brand of feminism that the world is yet to know about. ठीक है, okay, I can still
Mm-hmm.
buy this. But also in general, it felt really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a person who's sass, and Aditya Roy, Aditi Roy.
Aditi
Rao.
Rao Hydri, not
Haidari.
Aditya
Yeah.
Roy
Rao,
Kapoor.
Hyderabad, yeah. Why do I have to goof up something or the other in every episode?
It's
But
fine. We will
this
keep the
Because
goof
woman,
it's
ups.
you. Because it's you.
yeah, true. So basically, this woman has also never really, at least I have never really seen this woman playing characters in which she has to portray that particular
Mm.
sass side of herself,
Yeah.
which is why it felt good. But again, she was underused, of course.
She was underutilized to the extreme. That's
Yeah. No, I mean, I think the ninth episode, what I was saying was because it is so focused on their resolutions. Shrikant, I think they
I
could have used
figured
one or
from
two
the
scenes of them together, or together in a
I
sense that
figured
being
from the
arguing also.
interviews, like the number of
Mm-hmm.
interviews that these people have taken and everything,
Mm-hmm.
is that
Mm-hmm.
they basically wanted Aditi Rao Haidari.
Rao
Oh my
Haidari.
God, what
Haidari. You
is this
can just go
tongue
Aditi or
twister?
Haidari.
Yeah, yeah. So, so I figured that they wanted her character to actually be something like this. They wanted the
Mm.
character to be someone who is so motivated by the personal, somebody who's a star, but whose
Yeah.
motivations of stardom come from her personal life. Or if her
Yeah. Yeah.
personal life is disrupted, it starts to like it won't affect the star in her, but it will
Yeah.
certainly
Human.
make things align in a way that they
Yeah.
feel like it's unsettled, things like
I mean,
that.
they
So
say
they
also
wanted
now
to touch base with that.
in the end also when she I think that's a wonderful scene actually. I think the one she has with the journalist, and the journalist is
Mm-hmm.
Oh
like
yes.
You are in a
As
different
a
power
friend,
position.
हाँ
yeah, as a friend,
हाँ
I'm
as a
Mm-hmm.
friend एक suggestion लोगी or something, and then he's like अगर खुद को
You're
बर्बाद
too
करने
late.
something like that.
I
I'm not
think
going to spoil it
I
because I
think
don't remember the dialogue.
the fact that she was spiraling into kind of an obsession to catch Madan Kumar and
Mm,
to
Mm-hmm.
finally bring him to justice for
yeah,
Jamshed Khan's
yeah,
quote unquote murder or whatever.
yeah,
I think that should have been explored more. But
yeah,
again, it's that's the thing which shows with so many characters, right?
yeah.
It's always we can criticize a show all live long day. The
Mm,
problem is that there are so many characters with so many subplots.
yeah,
Servicing each and every subplot is a hard task to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes sometimes to ensure that the subplot is delivered more efficiently, sometimes the actors have to do the
Hmm.
legwork.
Exactly. Oh, that's true.
Okay, so Shrikant Roy, played by Prosenjit,
Hmm.
his subplot his subplot for the majority of the time is the person who is the pillar, who is going to stop Madan Kumar from doing something.
Yeah.
He's also the person who is the marker of progress as Bollywood,
Yeah.
as Indian
That's
film industry
visual, like
progresses.
dramatized amazingly in. I think amazingly in the third episode where they are lip
Yes, where he
syncing.
is showing the lip syncing.
Yes, where playback singing
Yes,
is introduced. Yes.
yes,
Yeah.
And they are kind
yes,
of doing it
Dancing
together.
to
Yeah.
it. Yes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, but my point is, even Shrikant Roy's life's exploration isn't done as
Yep.
much as the main three characters, right? But he still leaves an impact. The character leaves an impact because
Hmm.
the actor is doing the heavy lifting.
Okay, I think that this is the case with the other character. I think Aditi Rao Hydari is pretty good as
I think she's
Sumitra Kumar.
fine. I think she's
Okay.
fine
Hmm.
compared to Prosenjit. I think she's just
Hmm.
fine.
Hmm.
That's all I'm saying. Because in these type of subplots, if the writing isn't giving you enough, the
Yeah.
actor usually
No, I get
takes
it.
it upon
Mhm.
himself to deliver more.
Yeah. No, I agree. I
I
mean,
think
I think there's basically one image in the final montage which kind of makes all this retrospectively work for me. I'll be very honest. I think that one image of Nilofer seeing a version of Sumitra Kumari
yes,
is the
yes.
one that kind of makes me see a lot of her absence as something more enriching than I guess it was when I was watching it. I
Correct.
think it's almost like this void of these people, women, going back to that idea of these
Women.
women not being able to uh find any. As I was after that, I was like, do these women ever even talk to each other in the whole show? Like
No,
that
they don't.
absence of these communications not happening. Even Ratna, that kind of reminded me of Shweta Basu Prasad, I think, who I think gets one really good scene in the 9th episode
With the brother.
with with the brother Kishore Kumar's alias,
Basically, yeah.
basically. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of the times they are sort of defined by
By
the
the absence
men,
of the
the industry.
communication.
Yeah, exactly.
They
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
Correct.
defined by the absence of the communication.
Yeah, and I thought that was a really, I don't know how much of that was a conscious choice to have that, image of uh
No,
Sumitra
I guess it's
Kumari
a
in that
No,
conscious
it's a
montage.
choice.
conscious choice.
But it was
a
a
conscious
lovely
choice, I think.
moment in that montage, and I genuinely felt like it conveyed a lot of the things that were not conveyed actually in the episodes before. So again,
One of the very good things
yeah.
that was really conveyed was the Prosenjit and Aditi Rao relationship
That
also,
one
which I felt
scene,
was
that
like a
one
good thing.
scene in the train, that one scene in the train when they meet in the third episode or first episode
First
only.
episode,
Train.
I think,
First episode
First
where
only.
episode, yeah.
she's running away, right, and she discovers
Yeah,
her
and he
because
just and he just
Yeah.
enters into the room extremely silent. That one stare.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That
He
was a
looks like a
fantastically
vampire in the first
wordless.
episode, anyways. I think, like his
Yeah.
hairstyle does,
I think that
yeah,
was
and
the
the way he's
brief.
framed also. Not
I
vampire,
think that was the
Dracula. Sorry,
brief.
Count Dracula. My fault.
Count Dracula.
I
That was
think
the
that was
brief
the
only.
brief. That was the
Brief
brief
only.
given
Yes,
to him.
yes,
Michael
yes.
Corleone. Michael Corleone meets Count Dracula. Yeah, that was the
Yeah,
brief.
yeah. I mean, I remember the final image of the first episode is always so good. Like it's him standing over that Binod who's lying on the ground,
Yes.
and like the ARG is
Yeah.
burning. ARG, your RGB reference you can throw in here also.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
No, but I was
Ah,
telling
guy,
like most of their scenes that took place
in the office, right?
in the office only, which kind of
What
also defined. I mean, it's obvious, but defined the
Yeah.
relationship for
What
what it was and not.
What did you guys think of the Cold War stuff?
I think that's the weakest element.
Okay.
I feel it's
I
not
don't-
about like the weakest element. I felt it was necessary for plot to flow. So I mean, they had to take up something for that. I mean, you cannot
for
again,
characters to
that's the thing.
make quote unquote
Decisions.
erstwhile dumb decisions. The
Yeah.
plot had to be like that.
There's a
But-
lot of wiretapping here, huh? Like the whole film is about wiretapping in a sense.
I mean, that's
like,
it
Yes.
became like a
film,
good element for
series,
information
sorry,
to
I'm
from one
fucking
person to another, right?
like see the whole series about wiretapping, I feel in some ways. And just like
if you're going to see a series about wiretapping, just watch The Wire. Anyway.
okay, yeah, fair
Anyway.
enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, my point
Yes,
being like
your
how like those elements are
Hmm.
not weak in my opinion, because I feel they are, I mean, the existence in the spectrum is only as much as they need to be. They
Yeah.
aren't much more than that. I mean, they are, it's like a continuous element which goes on till like
Yeah, I was
the
surprised how much
last
it's like a
episode.
continuous thing throughout the whole series.
Correct,
Like,
correct. But again, I feel it kind of also defines the times of
yeah.
those early times also, in a way, like of like defining ideologies
पार्टीशन
of
को देखो ना आप,
guys.
वहां पे यूएस और
Correct.
शिट
Everything
का भी
becomes about
paralleling चल
duality
रहा है.
only, no?
You are very much
Everything.
delving into this partition, Kashida.
But it is that
No, but
everything
it's
is
very
divided in the
obvious.
show.
Very
Like
obvious.
legitimately everything is
Yeah.
divided in. I mean, which is, it's a general case. Like conflict comes from divide, of
Yeah.
course, but like,
Mhm.
but I think it emphasizes it throughout, which is because see now both of them are going through different sides of these two
Correct.
elements also. I'm not. I hope I'm
Yeah.
not reaching, but I don't really care now. I think
No,
I
it's
have
not
reached
teaching. I feel
enough.
it's pretty obvious only there. It's
No, but
it's
I
pretty
think
obvious.
but I think the wiretapping the Soviets and all
Yeah.
that stuff, this photographs लेना, फिर उनको दिखाना, फिर blackmail करना, फिर ये
Yes.
करना, फिर वो करना. I think that kind of became a tad bit too stretched after a point.
It becomes a little plotty in some senses. I
I
understand that.
understand it's for
Plot,
reasons.
exactly.
I
Servicing
understand
plot.
it for plots. It's for plot
Hmm.
reasons. I'm just saying it could have been streamlined much better. That's
Got it.
all I'm saying. It didn't need to be stretched so much.
Got it.
Because
I think,
after a point
yeah.
it felt like it was butting into the narrative. It didn't
Understood.
feel
No, but then
seamless.
now if you look at it more like episode wise, you
Hmm.
need to look at it in terms of what they were planning and why they were using those elements in a certain episode. Because I feel they wanted to use that as like something so that you're more engaged through how information is being passed on to, and so that you also don't forget, like if it's not occurring in, let's say, an episode, and if it was certainly streamlined,
Yeah.
it's like hypothetical only,
Hmm.
then it kind of again misses the whole point of like why is something like that happening.
Yeah.
You get it? I mean, I'm talking a little vague, but you get the whole idea,
Yes.
right? It's
You're
more like
talking very
information passing. I know. Sorry, I don't know how to explain it
It's
better.
fine, Sanjeev. It's okay, no problem. No, but I was saying more in the sense of I had more problem with one of those things which was happening in the local election, where you get introduced to this Raghu character before, who suddenly
yes.
turns into this main
And
player,
he suddenly
which
turns
is
to this
one
main player. Yeah.
transformation I didn't buy. I genuinely didn't buy the whole thing
Who?
where Raghu.
Raghu is that Sindhi guy.
Yeah,
Yes,
who
the Sindhi guy.
with Jay Khanna, he becomes this sort of voice of reason. Like he knows, like this
Voice
he
of
has
the
this voice of,
masses.
and I'm like, when did, like I know when it happens, but I'm like,
Didn't
I'm
he have that
not
one
sure I
scene
buy
where
that. But I was like, I'm not sure I buy that. Like
No,
I
but
know
there
what
is
So
you're
it's
one
talking
also
about.
dialogue.
in one of the final scenes, na, ki that happens when he goes on and on about the
Yeah,
theater
yeah.
and how the theater space is changing, and then Jay Khanna just butts in and says something else, and I'm like,
He
no
says about his
connection
personal life, I think.
whatsoever.
No.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And that dialogue is the perfect encapsulation of most of the things happening in Jubilee, because one side is saying something, the other side is saying something, and they are like,
No, you're
"तू
being too
क्या
harsh.
कह रहा है?
Yeah, you're
तू
being
क्या कह
harsh,
रहा है?"
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's my job.
No,
You could
Yes.
be
necessarily.
nice.
You
So I
don't
was about to say
necessarily have to be harsh.
I was about to say we've talked a lot about the elements that we kind of sort of like and but are conflicted about. But I know there are elements that everyone really likes, so we can also talk about that, which is sort of the whole Jay Khanna story, Siddhant
Can
Gupta,
we?
yeah, and
No,
Nilofer,
it's not
Vamika
that
Gabi,
fun,
who
but
I
okay.
think basically steals the whole show. I think, but I guess
Yes.
I agree.
yeah.
You have a
100%.
crush on her, don't you?
I mean, she is magnificent in the film. It's not about
Yes.
crush or not. Film, series, again, sorry.
Yeah.
But
It's my Hedari
No.
case. It's okay.
yes.
Don't worry.
No,
Shreya
but
Bilram
I didn't expect even that performance to come through. Like I thought, like especially when introduction, I think is magnificent, and I think the song for the introduction is also magnificent. I think one of the best songs of the soundtrack.
All the songs in the show, actually, they are
Yeah.
really well done. Like, I
He's always
sincerely
good
thought
at
that
this, I
after
think.
Bombay Velvet,
Yeah.
after Bombay Velvet, I really thought Amit Trivedi had reached his peak with his music because
Yeah.
of the kind of music that he was producing us time ko base karke.
Yeah.
But the songs in this show are marvelous. Like,
Yeah.
they are so
Yeah.
good. Even the song where Jay Khanna and Aditi Rao Hedari dance,
Yes. That's a
it's so
throwback, right?
nice.
To
It's
what's
just, it's
Yeah.
so
that's a Raj
it's so
Kapoor movie
dreamy.
reference, I think. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
No, but there are like a lot of songs.
There are
Like
a lot
there
of
is one
songs which are
song
throwbacks or like
you,
remixes or
that
slight
Yes.
that
manipulation.
song where it's raining and they're doing the dance. Like the
The
Yes,
voice
yes.
sounds very much like Mukesh's voice, who used to always sing for Raj Kapoor.
Chandu
Like,
Nacha. Is it? Is it?
no,
Chanda
not
Nacha,
that.
No,
sorry.
That
no.
is. I forgot. Yeah, it's the rain song where like Apar Shakti
Pyar
Khurrana
hua,
is dancing with
pyar hua,
Vivek Ravi
Understood,
pyar hua.
understood. Yeah, it's the one that they sing when they're in an affair and they're shooting the
in an
film.
Ah,
affair.
okay, okay,
Correct,
okay.
correct,
Okay.
correct. I mean, the sound, like it's sung by a different,
Yeah.
I mean, singer, but like it sounded very much like Mukesh, who used to sing.
Hmm.
Like Mukesh is Neil Nitin
Mm-hmm.
Mukesh's grandfather,
Yes,
who
yes.
used to sing for Raj Kapoor most of the
Mm.
time.
Mm.
And
Hmm.
when Mukesh
Should have
had passed away, like
casted
Raj
Neil
Kapoor
Nitin
said in
Mukesh
a
also, na, in
statement,
this?
No, they didn't.
possibly.
Fine.
I mean,
Okay.
they could have
I was
done.
being
They could have
They
snide,
casted
could
both.
have.
sorry.
They could
I
have.
was being snide. I don't think he's a very good actor, sorry.
Yes.
But
Only Johnny Kaddar is.
he's not good in that movie also. I love that movie, but he's not good in that.
That's your opinion. It's fine.
Anyways, no, the only reference I got was the last song. So I was like, I've been listening to that on a loop
That's
only.
the whole
Kaagaz ke
Guru
Phool.
Dutt Milan
Yes,
Banya,
yeah,
right?
Kaagaz ke
Yeah.
Phool.
That's the
Bichhade
best
sabhi
song.
bari
That's the
bari
best song
thing.
of this whole album.
I mean, it encapsulates the whole feeling, right?
I mean,
Everyone's
it's
yeah.
kind
such
of
a
like looking
it's
their own
beautifully
space.
filmed also.
Beautiful
I think
song.
like it's like the montage of everything happening in that sequence is
Yeah, yeah.
fantastic.
I
Dhruv,
really think the best song of the album for me was the song where Nilofer is introduced.
You're right.
It's
Amazing it was. Yeah.
brilliant. It's
Sunidhi
gorgeous.
Chauhan.
It's very
Yeah.
What is the
beautifully
track name
shot
again?
also.
Yes, it's shot wonderfully. Yeah.
किसी
Oh,
का
shot wonderful. There is like
uh,
one sing in that same song. There is that one shot which is like a single take, but it's
Mhm.
so seamless you don't even notice it's a single take because there is like movement between the camera and the dancer. It's
the track
fantastic.
is वो
What he
तेरे
did.
मेरे इश्क का. Uh,
वो
what
तेरे-
Yeah.
yes, it's a lovely
There's
lovely
another
track.
track which wasn't in the show, but I asked you guys also if
हाँ
you
हाँ
what
हाँ
do you
हाँ
think? I
इतनी
really
सी
liked that song. I think
इतराती चली or something, right? I think.
Itrati Chali, yeah.
Yes. So no, but
Mhm.
I thought yeah, but I thought he always does this really well. I feel like the whole music, like it's a very core thing, I guess, of Bollywood, right? The whole integrating songs in a way which furthers the narrative,
Musicality, yeah.
deepens it, without
I
feeling,
think
like an
yeah.
intrusion in many senses. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
yeah.
and I think this happens in all episodes. I think from whatever songs he's
Your
used,
Udan
all of
Khotale is
them.
still Udan
Udan
Khotole
Khatole is
is
still in my head for some reason. Like it's just no, but like even like take
living
the third
rent free.
episode, right? Like
So
where
also
they're talking.
Swanand Kirkire singing, so it's okay.
Yes,
Ah, yeah.
yes.
It's the third
It's a
episode.
fan-
Take
Udan
the
that's a
those,
Swanand
fantastic
Kirkire
song.
also did the Chandu Nacha, I think,
Yes.
right?
which I thought was a little
Also.
bit. I was underwhelmed by
Why?
where the song was there because it felt very kiddish, and I was like, I wanted something more romantic for their song.
I mean, I see that's the homage
Abey.
bit, right? You had these kind of songs.
I know. I was
Also.
just, I was like, यहाँ पे कुछ बहुत अच्छा, like बहुत ज़्यादा romantic वाला गाना बजेगा और यहाँ पे ये बज गया, which is a good moment for Jay himself because that's
Yeah.
that again is a
Reconciling with his
moment.
father.
Exactly, that's another narrative arc that gets resolved in a very nice way. But I was thinking the third episode when they're talking about lip syncing and the Oran Khatole thing happens, but like the more important thing in that sequence is that the song that they use is the one where Nilofer dances, yeah, the Babuji Bole Wale, which is an item song
Right.
in many senses, which is about movement. So I thought like there are ways in which he uses like these songs and like that
Yeah.
complements, the things and themes that are
Bluffs
sort of
it
going.
in a way.
I guess it's a very academic
Oh,
thing.
by the way, Udan Khatola was sung by Muhammad Irfan, not
Mohammed Irfan sung a lot of
Irfan.
this songs,
That's
right?
what I was saying.
Chandu Nacha
Swanand
did
was
was
the
done by
Swanand Kirkire.
Swanand Kirkire, but
Amit Trivedi. Yeah.
Udan Khatola was done by Muhammad
So
Irfan and Kausar
They
Munir
also
and Vaishali Madhav.
So
Kausar
the
Mani is all
score,
the lyrics, right? I guess.
yeah.
is the
Kausar
lyrics
Muni
for all
is
the songs.
So the score is done by I think Alokananda Dasgupta. Right?
Oh yeah, the score is so good.
Johnny
The
put
background
Johnny
score.
Greenwood in her middle name. She's that
Yes.
good.
No, like Alokananda Dasgupta is terrific. I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
the Sacred Games ka score, Sanjeev. The Sacred
Mhm.
I
Games
know,
score
I
was
remember it.
jaw-droppingly good, and this score is
Yeah.
also like brilliant. This score was absolutely
She
Sometimes
gave
so
soundtrack
good.
for
Like
Trapped also, by the
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
I know it's
Which
so
was
good. No?
again.
But even in
Yeah.
this, like I told Sanjeev, like I generally find over scoring of stuff very distracting. But
I was going
here,
to discuss that with you,
Yes,
but I
but
didn't.
we are
I
because
loved
aware.
it. I loved it
It's
here. I thought it
underscored
was so
throughout,
good.
more or less.
Yes.
Yeah, and then there's these wonderful like one or two sax notes, like the jazziness of it sort of just creeps
There's
into
also a
the
lot
whole
of
thing.
cello also, right?
Huh, huh, huh.
Mhm.
But even, and then there are times where it echoes like a Christopher Nolan movie score, and I was like, I didn't
The
expect
ticking
that.
time
Yeah, the
bomb
ticking
Yeah.
time clock,
thing.
where it's like building up, building up, building up. This is during the audition of Madan Kumar, I
Mm.
think,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
first audition he does,
No, I
which I
mean,
thought
it's
was
not an
lovely.
audition really, but it's the, I think
Yes, yes,
the
the
You know,
shooting,
one
yes,
the thing here is which really struck me as to why this show is so good in the direction aspect.
yeah.
When the Madan Kumar takes were being taken, and Upper
Oh
Shakti,
yeah, the
Vinod
intercutting.
Das was missing. Vinod Das was missing it. The
Yeah.
intercutting. Firstly, the
Oh, it's
intercutting.
so good.
And
Yes.
it's so good.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then the choice by Motwane to not show us the perfect take, but to
Yes.
show the reaction shots of everybody
Yes.
else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's
correct.
like a
I was
cinema
like,
paradiso bit, no? Like almost where you
yes,
edit in all the insert cuts basically of whatever was omitted, sort of like that almost.
yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
So it also fits seamlessly into the narrative because that reel got, stolen or whatever by Sumitra Kumari. And
yes.
so he had to splice in all of the other takes to finally make his one take,
A
one
lot of
perfect
like,
Mhm.
take.
I don't know how happy does, like, I was about to ask Sanjeet, how happy do you get, Sanjeet, when you watch like apparatus on screen, like, film
I
reels and
really
all
enjoy.
that, and I'm like, isme to jal bhi
I
rahi hai
liked it
achhi
in
tarah,
Fablemans
right?
also. Yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
about to say
Full on,
Fablemans.
huh?
When I Sanjeev, when I look at those apparatus and this film and everything, all I'm thinking about is how bloody expensive are
Hmm.
those
Yeah,
things.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Now it's even more expensive to just like procure it even as props to
Yeah,
yeah.
rent it for like their own thing.
yeah.
I can't even imagine how much.
No wonder John Ford was so economical. He was like,
Yeah,
कोई भी film waste नहीं करूंगा, इसमें ही edit कर दूं, film होते
ये
होते ही edit कर
आरजीवी
रहा
को
हूँ.
हर एपिसोड में लाता है, अब आप सारे वेस्टर्न्स और नोवार्स को हर एपिसोड में लाओगे, यही हो गया है ना?
I bring a
यही
lot of
होगा.
other filmmakers also. Please don't sideline me as only as RGB fanboy.
Okay,
Yes,
fine.
but you are an RGB fanboy. It's fine.
I
Yeah,
am an RGB. I'm
own
a
it.
fanboy of a lot of other filmmakers.
Yes.
I am owning it.
Yeah, yeah. No, but I remember there was this moment in I really liked some of the, I think what Amartya was mentioning about, these time how the time jumps happen, and I think sometimes that happens at the cost of some of the characters, but I think there are some moments which I really liked also. I remember the moment where third episode I think ends, which is like the doors open, or third or fourth episode, where the doors about to open for Binod to see the reaction that the crowd is giving to his first movie Sangharsh, I think second episode hoga maybe then. But the next episode we don't begin with him, but we begin with Nilofer going to an audition where she's already memorialized the sort of monologue that already has become popular because his movie has worked. So I like
Mm-hmm.
how it's introduced in a way where other characters have sort of inhaled the influence that has already happened around the whole thing. So I really like that
The
also. And
genesis of the cause ends the last episode. The genesis of the effect begins the next episode, which
yes,
is nice.
very
Mm-hmm.
effectively
Yeah.
put,
More or
and
less.
much more
That's a
concise than what I was trying to say. But yes,
What
uh,
what another other aspect also I really enjoyed was how Madan Kumar, I mean Binod Das, who's been struggling to get into the center stage,
hmm,
yes.
become like a little powerful and everything with his
hmm,
own choices and everything, is kind of again starts getting sidelined and then
hmm.
becomes like a parallel thing with that was another very
there's a
interesting
whole
aspect of
there's a
why.
whole there's a whole film theory angle to this also. I don't want to bore people, but I
Tell
will.
me. No,
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 bore
no.
बोलो
me.
ना क्या
The
है
Raj
बोलो.
Mahal thing, Raj
Yes,
Mahal
yes.
Uh-huh.
No, no, go,
episode,
go.
the Raj Mahal episode, and the one before that, which is all about him using film to exorcise the ghost of his guilt or whatever happened.
Uh-huh.
It's like
हाँ हाँ.
he'll film it, he'll say whatever,
Put it out.
by
Yeah.
filming it, it's like he'll release all the sort of
Mm-hmm.
guilt he has, but like that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
happen, and it's a sense that film can only become something that records
Yeah.
the memory of something but is not. So yeah, it gets all into sort of film ka
Retribution.
function and all that, which I don't want to get more involved
अरे
into,
why
but
not?
that
I
angle
want
is
to
there.
listen to it.
बस यही है और कुछ नहीं, और ज्यादा ज्यादा होएगा तो फिर मैं ही घूम जाऊंगा.
That scene where they're also, rehearsing in the hotel room was also
Oh, I
really,
love
really
the scene where they're
well. And the
rehearsing and it
camera,
cut
like the
cuts
camera is
back.
kind of playing off as
Mhm.
like a 360, as if like you're watching the scene happening. And
Also,
I
do you think?
liked
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I liked how the show also delved into the entire, how the film industry, how the nitty gritty of how of making a film actually works, and as well
Yeah,
as the business of the film
the distribution,
industry,
exhibition also, right? The whole thing
distribution,
idea of.
distribution
exhibitors, and all of
aspect
that.
more especially,
Very
like the
interesting.
black
Mhm.
tickets and all that stuff, all of it
Are
shown
part of the
Yeah,
extremely well, and it's greatly done. Also, a lovely way to show studio meddling, like that film where
changing the ending.
yeah, changing the ending. Lovely way to show off studio meddling.
ending,
Most
they
of the time,
butcher the whole
they
thing.
butchered the whole movie. They butchered the
I
whole
think the
movie.
film, the film. Oh God, sorry, Sanjeet, cut out all these bits and make a
Yeah.
reel out of it.
Beep 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 beep
Okay.
beep beep.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I think now I've lost my train of thought. Also, never mind.
No, you
No,
were
no,
going to say
you were
something
going
before
to say
also.
that film, the film
That
which had,
film.
yeah, the
While Dhruv remembers, there's this particular shot right in the first episode where Binod Roy is looking at this particular mirror which is hoisted midway the staircase,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
Proshenjit's character looks at that and hails him. That
Hmm.
Hmm.
is so, it's
I
so
don't remember.
beautifully done.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that is like really taking physics into account. But that was really nice.
Never, but you even like see that moment, no, like in the first episode that gets called back in the ninth episode also. Like it's
Which one?
again what you like the whole
That one,
sequence
right?
near the
The
arg, right?
near the fire, yeah. Again,
Fireplace
Yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
the powered. I mean, episode ka naam aag tha, so don't add to me about the RGV stuff. No, but the whole the setup and payoff basically of a lot
yes,
of
Mm-hmm.
things that
yes,
happen
yes, yes.
effectively is there in sort of those moments.
And also ending with a monologue, by Srikanth Roy about the greatness of cinema, which
I'm not
is
sure I buy the whole idea that the
yes,
film is
I don't
very.
either. I don't either,
Yeah.
but
No, I'm not
it,
sure I buy the whole idea that the show is very nostalgic about. I know the film,
no, it
the
is not
show.
nostalgic.
My
The
God, I'm
movie.
gonna die.
Cautious tale, no more like.
The movie. The movie. This show reminds me of very much.
Oh yeah, Babylon.
Babylon.
This is like a better Babylon for me, basically.
Dhruv, drop your.
But I really like Babylon.
No,
I
I don't
love
like
Babylon.
Babylon.
This is my two middle fingers here.
Yeah,
I
I
love
know.
Babylon.
No, my thing was I don't emotionally connect with Babylon basically for large periods, and this is like the flip side of it.
I
And
just
वैसे भी
really
I.
like the
वैसे
pacing of Babylon is all. It was so
Babylon
fast, and I'm
lovers.
generally somebody who gets very jittery or anxious when it's a very fast-paced
Oh,
film. But
yeah.
then that was a film I really liked.
No, I
I
can
love
understand.
that movie.
After watching a movie recently, I think I appreciated Babylon's pacing and like the sense of scale. I won't reveal the movie, but
Which movie are you talking about?
Ari Aster's new film, basically.
Okay. Bo is
Yeah,
afraid.
Who
yeah,
is afraid?
yes. So after
Oh
that, I
boy.
was like very much
Oh boy.
Babylon is good. I'm not denying that, but I do think that I got much more out of. I think it's also because Jubilee is positioned in a way where it's critiquing, but is also kind of in awe of that era, which is a
Celebrating.
very.
Mhm.
It's the kind
Good
of place
balance.
which I think these types of films generally occupy. I mean, in Bollywood and Hindi
I
film.
think Jubilee's critiquing of the film industry is much more, nuanced, much more subtle, much more normal.
Huh.
Chazel's critiquing of Hollywood is like in your face.
It's like the opposite, no? Like basically you
Yes.
go, it's like a abrasive
Yeah, but
look
his
at it.
style was also
Yes.
very maximalist, also, no? That
Yes,
way.
it's maximalist.
Like I feel Vikram. That's why maybe I was thinking, right? I was like, I'll be curious to know what people who are sort of supremely deep into old classical cinema of like Bollywood, what they would make of Jubilee, because I think Vikramaditya Motwani's style sometimes has a subdued melodrama to it rather than it's not
Mhm.
like it's going full blasting on it. Like I feel it's always a little
Mhm.
polished, if that makes. I don't think making something polished is a bad thing. Apparently that's a new critique nowadays, where something that's polished and well well
I
put
think that
together views.
critic holds better for documentaries, but for narrative it's still okay.
Oh yes,
Documentaries, that's a bad.
let's not get
Yeah,
into
yeah,
polished documentaries. We
yeah,
will.
yeah. That for
Uh,
documentaries, that's a big red flag. Listen,
ठीक
Jubilee
है.
would have been much better if there was an elephant in it.
No, it
Just
wouldn't. It would be Babylon then, no?
Shitting elephant then.
shitting
Yes.
elephant, a fecal load of shit in it. Yep. It would have
Uh,
been much better if there was an elephant.
no, but okay.
It would be
Uh,
Babylon.
Okay, what more about the show?
yeah, what more about the show? Because we have deviated
It's
to Elephant
great.
Whisperers. We can't go
It's
anywhere
very
lower
good.
than that.
It's very good.
It's very
It's very,
good.
very good.
I'm glad the show
It's-
exists. Honestly,
Yeah. No,
I'm
it's
glad
always.
I'm glad that Vikramaditya Motwane is directing.
Yeah. I think that's the big.
He apparently made another film with Ananya Pandey in secrecy. He finished it in like 30 days.
Of course, he had to do it in
Oh,
secrecy.
it's the one with Ananya Pandey in it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what
Do
he
you
said.
think they'll release it in secrecy also so that all of us
Yeah,
don't have to
they
watch
might
it?
release it in secrecy too, so we
We are
don't have to
hoping.
see it. Yeah.
No, but you see, this is the thing, right? Though he has which is why the Nandish Sandhu performance is a beguiling thing for me, because I think he's extracted a great performance from Sonakshi Sinha in Lotera, and I think
At
a
that
lot of
point,
time-
yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
and-
thought he has got the power to extract a performance from the guy who was the first boyfriend in Uttaran. Of course, good job.
this episode has more mentions of Uttaran than I thought it would, but sure. No, anyways, like any other sort
Very
of
random.
like any other things that you guys really love, like particulars that you thought were
There's
very
Covered
it
more or less
rain
everything.
scene, that particular scene with Nilofer and Siddhant and like Jay Khanna, and then the one that gets repeated again in one of the later episodes with both of them sitting
the
down on
rain,
the
right?
ground.
The Barsat.
Yeah, it
Yes,
just
yes.
broke
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
Yeah. No, it was a lovely scene. That was I think their relationship
This sitting in
itself
front
was
of a
lovely.
cinema also, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I think it's releasing whose picture? Jay Khanna's. Oh no, it's it's Raj Mahal only, which is getting released.
Yeah, it's Rajmahal.
Raj.
Yeah,
Rajmahal or
yeah.
that
Because
Beju
they
Awara?
I think
we
Beju
had gone
Awara,
to the
sorry.
Rajmahal ka
It's Beju Awara, I
Beju
think.
Awara, yeah, Rajmahal. They went to that premiere party.
Yeah. वो प्रीमियर
Yeah, it
पार्टी
was
का भी
Beju Awara.
प्रीमियर पार्टी का भी फ्लिप होता है, राइट? एक पोजीशन में द फर्स्ट पार्ट में यू सी
Yeah.
Apar Shakti being the one who sort of lauded, and then the second part में you see the flip happening in a sense. So again, all that mirroring is there throughout. And
अरे भाई अच्छी सीरीज है, अच्छी फिल्म है, made by creators who know how to make films and series well.
that
They
is very
still
true.
made a 1 hour 30-minute episode out of it. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yes. No, we to have made two.
Arey,
like,
we
yeah.
like it. Who said we did not? Who said
No,
I
no,
did
no.
not like it? That's all I'm saying.
You like it. It's just relative होता है ना, degrees of like.
Yes.
नहीं,
Why
but
still
I was
Harsh is
scared.
still the lot. It's okay.
Yes.
Amartya will have like
Somebody
even
has to
worse
be.
hot takes, but he didn't.
Yeah,
have,
this
so-
is nothing. I'm the normal here.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
No, I told Dhruv before recording also, I'm not taking any slander from anyone. I'm not talking.
You should be happy I did not put too much slander.
I'm very happy. You have no idea how happy I am. I'm eating ice cream after this episode.
Arey, that reminds me
Okay.
that the whole
Of ice
one of the
cream.
other
Of ice
conversations
cream.
of not ice cream but food related conversations that happen in the show is with again with Jay and
Nilofer.
Nilofer only.
Huh?
You know, when he
What?
he goes to apologize to her at the house, at her house,
And she's cooking.
and she's cooking, and then
Yeah.
it's also a wonderfully staged moment because it's about the third person in the conversation who's there and then leaves at the exact moment where he apologizes to her. So I think again what we've talked about, sort of details, and how even in smaller moments you have the way they're staged feels very again I like to say polished, exquisite, whatever those sort of terms. Even elegant, yes. And the even the quote moment, right, when they're speaking, it's like he has a superimposition of everyone's face over Apar Shakti's face, and it's like small directorial touches which I thought were very
When the
lovely.
writing becomes looser, the direction becomes stronger. That's what it is.
I was wondering how Amurtha
Yeah.
hadn't used this line yet.
I was
It's
waiting
finally
for
here.
it. Yes, yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would
same. It's finally here.
I would be I would like to champion Atul Sabharwal's writing a fair bit for this show. Actually, I think it's pretty well written, even though there are
Yeah,
loose ends here and there. So,
Here and
yeah.
there.
yeah, loose
Well,
ends are there
He's
here
also
and there only. But
Chalo.
that's I mean, to end on that, actually, one of the things was to say that Vikramaditya Motwane is one of those filmmakers, I think, who still doesn't have a defined, I suppose.
very Spielbergian way, no? You
He
work
Yes,
kind of
in.
very
he can
proud.
tip, yeah, and he really likes Dollyans also, whatever that means.
I told you,
Uh,
he's every like Dolly is like it's a Modwani
yeah.
shot.
It is, yeah. But yes, Sanjit, you can
Even
end
like
it.
in
I
a
think.
lesser film like Trapped, also he used like
What do you
those,
mean
but never
lesser
mind. Yeah,
film? I thought it was very good.
I mean
Low
like
budget.
more
Low
minimalist
budget.
in terms of like
Oh,
Low
low
budget.
budget.
uh,
Okay, yes. He changed
space and
DPs though,
everything.
right?
Like,
So shout out to the DP
yeah,
also, Prateek Shah of.
who knows?
On that amazing poo.
This is the
Exact.
end of
Full
the
poo
episode.
poo. Full poo poo.
We really like Jubilee the show. Please
Jubilee,
watch it.
yes.
Yes, we
Fantastic
love
show.
Jubilee the show.
Streaming
Yes.
on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
We all recommend it. You can follow Dhruv on his Instagram page at Terminal Cinema. You can follow Amartya at Amartya25 on Instagram. You can follow Andrila on her Twitter account.
Yes.
I said
Yes.
Twitter. I'm
I
sorry.
was about to correct
But
you
I
because I was
don't know
like,
the handle
you were correct.
Yes.
because I haven't followed her yet, but I will follow it.
I thought Sanjeet is going to say, and you cannot follow Hendrila anywhere.
And you can follow me at pixel_baba on Instagram. Please follow us on Spotify so that it reaches out to more people. Share it with friends who would like to listen to people talking about films or cinema or discovering more about film and entertainment.
We have lots
This is the
planned,
end
by
of
the way.
the
We have a
episode.
50s, 60s, or whatever recap of Bollywood cinema,
Yes.
right? Yes. That's
Also,
going to be a
lots more
complementary to
episodes
this.
coming through in the next
Yeah.
1 month, 1.5 month. Please make sure you follow us so that you get notified.
We
and it
kind of
helps
sort
us.
of have a Nolan retrospective plan.
Oh, yes, we have
Also-
that
also-
also.
No, no.
Yes.
Yes.
Follow also on Nolan retrospective that is coming
Yes.
through. But anyway, this is the end of the episode. Thank you so much for listening. Khatam.
Sanjeet, you are editing this.
Start sound. Camera. Clap. Films is my life, my benediction. It's the very breath of my soul, my prayers. Over the years, I have grown to realize that I could not have known this beautiful world and its people as I've done through making films. I realize that my whole existence is nothing but knowing the little that I know of through cinema, people of this world, human beings, relationships, pain, sorrow, joy, happiness, so many things, all through cinema. So it's like my whole existence, my being is cinema.